Welcome to Fisherman's Wharf, a bustling community in the heart of Victoria. The Fisherman's Wharf area we know today looks much different than it did 150 years ago. The bay where Fisherman's Wharf now stands was a mudflat used by the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, part of the Coast Salish people, to harvest shellfish during their time spent in the many wintering villages in Lequamin, or Land of Winds. After James Douglas's landing in 1842, the coastline from Shoal Point to Rainier Point became known as Major Bay. From 1859 to 1946, the shoreline that is now the wharf was the location of industrial activity, including Langsway's shipyard and the Victoria Chemical Company, who used the area as a dumping site for their chemical waste. Fisherman's Wharf was constructed in 1948 because of the federal government's investment in a docking and unloading facility for Victoria's fishing fleet, and was used almost exclusively by fishermen until the late 60s. This attracted tourists and residents alike who enjoyed watching the large commercial fishing boats unload their catch of the day. The houseboats, previously home to coastal loggers, saw an increase in residents in the 70s because of cheap moorage rates. These were hiked up in the 1980s when Transport Canada took over the wharf's administration, cleaning up the community and enforcing rules that caused people to either move away or accept the change. The wharf began to become a friendlier place, and soon restaurants and other businesses also began to appear, beginning with Barb's Fish and Chips in 1984. With the decline of the salmon fishery in the early 90s, the BC Packers at Ogden Point closed, causing many fishing boats to either switch to large-scale tuna fishing or leave, making room for an increasing amount of liveaboards and pleasure boats. Today, Fisherman's Wharf is a vibrant and diverse community that includes a small fishing fleet, float home village, mooring for recreational boaters, and a number of businesses that make it an ideal tourist destination.
However, this important cultural and historic site is under threat from climate change. Although climate change is a global process, the effects are felt most at the regional level, specifically at the coastal zone, where the land and sea interact. The effects of climate change are being felt already at Fisherman's Wharf with record-breaking king tides. Therefore, action must be taken at the municipal level to ensure a healthy and resilient coastal community. The businesses and community of Fisherman's Wharf and the nearby marinas are highly vulnerable to the impact of climate change because their livelihoods are directly dependent on the coastal zone and its resources. Climate change will mean increased economic expenditure, decreased profitability of businesses, and increased health and safety risks, which in combination will decrease the viability and peace of mind of the overall community. Planning for these changes has already been initiated by the local float home community, such as tsunami preparedness and evacuation protocols. This bottom-up approach of planning shows the level of awareness and resilience already present at Fisherman's Wharf. This is an opportunity for the municipality to work together with the community to increase overall resilience.
There is also an opportunity for the local municipality to take proactive measures to mitigate the future infrastructural, environmental, and socio-economic impacts of climate change using the toolbox of land use management strategy. Because Fisherman's Wharf and the surrounding area lie within meters of the ocean, these areas are particularly vulnerable to infrastructural damage and resulting economic losses. The infrastructure of this area includes houseboats, fishermen and other docks, a rain garden, and many fishing and pleasure boats, and a parking lot above the docks. All of these areas are vulnerable to sea level rise with associated erosion and flooding. There has been riprap and seawalls built along sections of the shoreline, but these structures may not be tall enough to withstand an increase of sea level. The Greater Victoria Harbour Authority has a few options of what can be done, such as softening the shoreline by creating low-impact development, vegetated drain channels, or tidal flat enhancement. There is also the option of hardening the shoreline with dikes, levees, higher seawalls, flood walls, and sea gates. The City of Victoria has also created a rain garden above Fisherman's Wharf and Fisherman's Park. The purpose of the rain garden is to clean and decrease the amount of storm water entering the drainage pipes and to reduce flooding during heavy rainfalls. With a long and diverse past, Fisherman's Wharf is a unique part of Victoria's harbour. There are lots of opportunities to create a resilient future for Fisherman's Wharf, allowing future generations to enjoy all that it has to offer.